نهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا مولانا محمد وبارك وسلم. All praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has allowed us to come out of our beds this Saturday morning because of the weather. By us not paying attention to these things, by us not learning that you are, and don't relieve yourself under a tree which is bearing fruit. ولا في الجحر, and don't relieve yourself in like animal dens. واحذر الأرض الصلبة ومهاب الرياح احترازا من الرشاشة لقوله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن عامة عذاب القبر منه. When it comes to relieving yourself, make sure that you're not relieving yourself at a place where like it's like a hard surface, where like while relieving yourself you're gonna have basically like splashes of your own impurities falling back on your clothing or your body. احتراضا من الرشاش. Rashash means like drops or like small amounts of impurity. لقوله صلى الله عليه وسلم, keeping in mind the hadith of Nabi Karim صلى الله عليه وسلم when he mentioned إن عامة عذاب القبر منه, that verily most of the people when they are being punished or reprimanded in their graves, majority of the time is because of this one reason. For what reason? That people are not careful when it comes to cleaning oneself properly after relieving oneself. So Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam came across two graves once, and Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he took some greenery, some branches or whatever that he found, and he like placed them onto the graves, on these two graves. And when inquired by the Sahaba Kiram, Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam shared with them that these two individuals, the inhabitants or like these two deceased persons, they are being punished in these graves, and they're being punished for something which is like mainly overlooked, like generally overlooked. People don't pay attention to these things, and it's very easy to stay away from these things, which will inevitably keep one safe, or basically save oneself from the punishment of the grave. And one of them, this is basically not mentioned here, but I'm referring to the hadith, like inna عامة عذاب القبر منه is just a part of the hadith which I'm referring to, like the incident that took place. So Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that one of these people, one of these persons used to basically like not be aware and not clean himself properly after relieving oneself, and basically, in other words, not being mindful of istinja, not being mindful of cleaning oneself. Now, it was mentioned last week as well, is that this is a serious issue facing our youth, right? Our generation of youngsters. It's very, very, like, it's extremely rare that somebody actually taught us the right way of cleaning ourselves, right? When it comes to standing up and urinating in a public place, when it comes to like using a urinal, etc. If a person, by using a urinal, you're unfortunately, like inevitably what's going to happen is that you're going to make yourself impure. You're going to make your clothes impure. You're going to make yourself impure. And what's going to happen is, if we don't pay attention, if we don't correct our ways, then we might end up being amongst these people that are going to be punished in our graves because of this. So cleaning oneself after relieving oneself properly is a very, very serious thing to do, and we need to learn this. We need to learn this. So maybe we should start a class on that itself, of like Talimul Haq or something, in which we're able to like learn these things, like like grassroots level fiqh. That okay, what happens, does your wudu break when this happens, or does your wudu remain intact even after going through this? Or what are the compulsory, basically, what are some of the prerequisites for you to check off before even completing starting your wudu, right? So inshallah ta'ala, we might start that class very soon, inshallah ta'ala. But the point is that we need to learn all these things, right? We need to learn about all of this. So referring back to that hadith, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also mentioned that, okay, one of these persons, were not cleaning themselves properly after relieving themselves, and the second person used to carry tales. This second person would, go around and just, spread things about people and just carry tales and just accuse people of things, backbiting and just spreading like hatred and jealousy in the community. So Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam referred to these two negative things as things that are easily fixable, right? We just have to pay a little bit of attention, just work a little hard, and we're able to overcome these two things. And Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned inna ammata adhab al-qabri minhu, that like when we use the word am, right, in our mother tongues, it's from the word, it's from Arabic, right? Like am huna, right? That inna ammata azab al-qabri minhu, that am taur par, like generally when people are being punished in the grave is because of these two reasons. wattaki fi julusik ala al-rijl al-yusra, and while you're sitting down, lean towards the left. When you're sitting down, this is something that, okay, where we grew up, we're born and raised here, we want to understand. But for those of us that visited our home countries, we would know how the toilets look like back home. And this is referring to that situation when you're sitting down to lean towards your left so that you're able to clean yourself easier. وَلَا تَبُلْ قَائِمًا إِلَّا عَنْ ضَرُورَةٍ, and don't stand up and relieve yourself, obviously referring to urinating. إِلَّا عَنْ ضَرُورَةٍ, again the word ضَرُورَت also comes from Arabic, except that it's a dire need, like you're forced to stand up and urinate, and only then you are allowed to do, basically you're allowed to relieve yourself while standing up. Other than that, the sunnah of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is to sit down. Now, to possibly answer some of the follow-up questions that people may ask, is that, okay, define zarurat, right? Define like a dire need. So each person will need to honestly ask themselves, oneself, is that, okay, in my situation, what's really important, right? To give two examples, right? Okay, if a person just went through some surgery, gone through some surgery, and it's just like it's impractical for this person to sit down, right? For whatever reason, like some kind of procedure was done, it was conducted, and it's impossible. Now, in that situation, right, Islam would tell you to relieve yourself while standing, right? And what I'm implying by saying this is that some people tend to take things over, tend to go overboard with things, and say, what, we have to, I really need to sit down and do this. That will then jeopardize his or her health, or make matters worse for oneself. There is one incident that comes to mind in which a sahabi or a tabi'i, basically a sahabi or a tabi'i, was basically had some kind of eye problem, and this person was told that if you continue to make sajda on the ground, right, then you're gonna lose your eyesight. And this is what this individual did. He said, I'm sorry, I'm gonna choose to do this. So at a personal level, Islam does allow a person to stand up and relieve oneself in dire situations that will end up harming oneself, like health and other, jeopardize other things. Another good example we could give is that, let's say you're in an airport, right? A person is at an airport, and literally, if you don't run out of that bathroom within the next 45 seconds, you're gonna miss your flight, or something that extreme. And there's a line for the normal toilets, what's defined normal in that country, and you have a urinal there. Now, if a person is able to make istinja at that situation, in that situation, which means that okay, a person will clean himself or herself in that kind of situation, then he'll be allowed, right? But just using their urinal and no consideration of cleaning oneself afterwards, that's not going to be justifiable, right? That's not going to be justified. So yes, in public, it is going to be super awkward to clean yourself, in that kind of situation. Just figure out a way. Point is, when it comes to each person's necessity and need, each person, based on his or her unique experiences, will be faced with unique challenges. And this person will need to ask himself or herself, you know what? Is this a dire need right now or not? Right? And you could argue, okay, just wait for 5 minutes. And once you get, onto the plane and the plane takes off, you're able to relieve yourself. But let's just say a person is diabetic, or for whatever reason, right? There are different factors in place. So the point is that the sunnah method is to sit down. We shouldn't, relieve ourselves standing up like habitually. Only in extreme situations, and like. Personally, I can't because I don't, like, they really need to be like really, really extreme situations. واجمع في الاستنجاء بين استعمال الحجر والماء. In those days, obviously, there was no toilet paper. So what people would do is that they would use like lumps of dirt, right, to basically to clean oneself. And there are some technicalities when it comes to when you're allowed to only use dirt and when you're allowed to only use water. There is a difference, right? Like for example, when relieving, when after urination, for example, right? You don't need to wash yourself by just using toilet paper or by like any other material that will absorb that impurity from your body. That's fine, right? You don't need to wash yourself. Yes, in a situation there's an exception. Obviously, is that okay? For some reason, that najasat or that impurity has spread beyond its normal place, right? Then you will need to wash it. You can't use toilet paper anymore or anything else of that matter, to that matter. Now, not meaning to like get off topic, but when it comes to relieving oneself, when it comes to number two, we find in books of fiqh that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did allow the Sahaba Kiram to clean themselves without water, right? And this points towards the sacrifice of the Sahaba Kiram, because their diet in those extreme situations were such that when they would relieve themselves of number two, impurities would not exceed like that body part of theirs. So by just using like a lump of dirt or anything that would be like used for istinja, that would be fine because of the diet, like because of the nature of the diet, whatever they would eat, like leaves and like other stuff like greenery, they wouldn't have like foods high in protein that would have an effect on your bowel movements like that. So in those extreme situations, inshallah ta'ala, when we start that class, I will go into more details of some Sahaba Kiram basically getting personal and explaining the situations that we had to go through so much difficulties that this is how we would relieve ourselves, right? And that's a different topic on its own. But to answer the question, basically, like to just to clarify, is that okay if we open up a book of fiqh today, and we find that okay you don't need to use water when relieving oneself from number two? Well, the reason why I went this far to explain the Sahaba Kiram situation was to explain that that water was not necessary only in those extreme situations because of the nature of their diet. But today, in these days, you're not allowed to just use toilet paper and just call it a day. We like in today's society, the food that we eat and everything, we will have to wash ourselves with water. We will have to. There's no way around it, right? No matter what however we try to justify whatever, the consensus of the ulama is that in today's time we will have to use water. What Imam Ghazali rahimahullah is trying to mention here is that keeping like those circumstances in mind is that Imam Ghazali rahimahullah wants us to use like lumps of dirt or toilet paper and water as a precautionary measure to make sure that we rid our bodies from all impurities that may be present. فإذا أردت الاقتصار على أحدهما فالماء أفضل. For some reason, if you choose to use one of them, either toilet paper / dirt or water, فالماء أفضل, then water is obviously the better choice. Like basically, is better. It's أفضل. Also أفضل, what we say in Urdu or whatever mother tongue we speak, أفضل means like it's from Arabic أفضل, to have fazila. وإن أردت الاقتصار على الحجر فعليك أن تستعمل 3 أحجار طاهرة منشفة للعين تمسح بها محل النجوى. If a person, now this is obviously not applicable to us today, but just for us to be able to explain to somebody, inshallah ta'ala, that is confused when picking up a book and studying by themselves, which is also the reason why that we shouldn't do that, because there are a lot of other factors that are involved when studying deen, understanding deen especially, is that for some reason if you want to just make iktifa or just use like toilet paper or lumps of dirt, then make sure that you use three lumps of dirt, or you use three different like handfuls of toilet paper, whatever. Tahiratin, which is obviously clean. So that means that you can't like reuse. Obviously, you're not gonna do it. It's like no human being would ever do that, right? But he's just throwing it out there that just if you think it's cool, but it's not, right? Just throwing it out there. That make sure that every time that you're using something to clean yourself with also needs to be clean itself. So make sure that you use 3 بحيث لا تنتقل النجاسة عن موضعها. So make sure that you clean yourself in such a manner that you're not allowing that impurity to allowing that impurity to spread beyond its mahal najasa, or like the place of that najasa. So make sure that when you're cleaning yourself with something dry, make sure that you're not making it worse for yourself, in other words. وكذلك تمسح القضيب في 3 مواضع من حجر فإن لم يحصل الإنقاء ب3 أحجار فتمم 5 أو 7 إلى أن تنقى بالأوتار فالإيتار مستحب والإنقاء واجب. So what this means is that if you have like a large lump of dirt and you're able to basically reuse the same lump, but in such a way that you're using like 3 corners of it, or like in 3 different like using 3 different parts of the same lump, it's fine. Because see, the issue isn't about the lump was used, now you have to go look for another one. The issue, like the defining factor here, is making sure that you are clean. The end result of you cleaning yourself is cleanliness, right? Now, let's say you used 3 lumps of dirt / toilet paper. I don't want to use a lump of dirt these days, today, but let's say you used 3 pieces of toilet paper and it wasn't enough. Then what you do is you go for 5. So you keep it as odd numbers, right? So 3, 5, 7, 9. I don't know who will go that far, right? But the point is that to keep it witr, right? To keep it as basically an odd number is mustahab, is light, is what is preferred to do, is to use like a number of toilet paper which is like an odd number, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, etc. So it's mustahab to keep it witr. Witr literally means an odd number, hence the word like the witr salah. Why? Because it's witr. Now you could have ask, okay, why is maghrib called maghrib and not witr? I don't know, but like, okay, we call witr because it has 3 rakats. Well, inqa or wajib. Inqa in Arabic means to basically like get the job done or to clean yourself. So using like an odd number of toilet paper, etc., is mustahab, but don't lose focus on the fact that, okay, you know what? At the end of the day, to to become clean is wajib. The end goal is to become clean. وَلَا تَسْتَنْجِي إِلَّا بِالْيَدِ الْيُسْرَى. And don't clean yourself using your right hand. Right? وَقُلْ عِنْدَ الْفَرَاغِ مِنَ الْإِسْتِنْجَاءِ. And after you're done from istinja, اللهم طهر قلبي من النفاق وحسن فرجي من الفواحش وادلك يدك بعد تمام الاستنجاء بالأرض أو بحائط ثم اغسلها. So وقل عند الفراغ من الاستنجاء, and say this following dua, recite this following dua after completing like cleaning yourself. Allahumma, O Allah, طهر قلبي من النفاق. Cleanse my heart, purify my heart, basically make my heart pure, and don't allow any nifaq to remain in my heart. So purify my heart from any kind of nifaq or hypocrisy. وَحَصِّن فَرْجِي مِنَ الْفَوَاحِشِ. Hassin. Now, we might get confused by listening to this word. One is hassin in Arabic with the sin means hassin, to beautify. But when it comes to basically when you bring in the word the letter sad, like hassin means to like protect, safeguard. So وَحَصِّن فَرْجِي مِنَ الْفَوَاحِشِ. And O Allah, safeguard my private parts from delving into haram. So you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after you had just cleaned yourself, O Allah, clean my heart as well from hypocrisy, and also protect me, my private parts, from haram. وَادْلُكْ يَدَكَ بَعْدَ تَمَامِ الْإِسْتِنْجَاءِ بِالْأَرْضِ أَوْ بِحَائِطٍ. Now this is going to sound very, very weird to us, but this is the way it was back in the day. Okay, there wasn't any running water, and there wasn't like this whole concept of opening up a tap of water and then calling it a day. What you do is that you rub your hand with some dirt or with some kind of wall. So maghsilha, and then after that you wash your hands. So basically, like washing your hands, in other words. We finished this chapter. Should we continue? I think we should stop here, right? Because we started late as well. Okay. Any questions before we adjourn or whatever, end this class? Any questions?